Chris Tritico, our Fox 26 senior legal analyst, is joining me to talk more about the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial. We expect Cassie Ventura, his ex-girlfriend, to be on the witness stand perhaps for the rest of the week. So, Chris, when we take a look at Cassie's testimony so far, she has said that he controlled every part of her life, her career, and that she feared for her safety being around him. How key was that testimony to proving what he is charged with, which is sex trafficking and racketeering?
So we're going to have to wait and see when she gets on cross-examination how that holds up. All right. Now, what she said also was that on the day of the freak-off, I have trouble with that name, but on the day of the freak-off,
a wild party.
Yeah, that where he beat her up at the elevator, that she chose to go. All right, she wouldn't. She decided to go because it was the day of her premiere, her movie premiere, and she wanted him to go to the premiere with her or something like that. So she made a conscious choice to go to that party, which means she didn't have to be there. That's evidence that it was not a coercion for her to be there.
Do you think it's important, though, for the prosecutors to keep hammering that line of questioning with her? Like, did you fear that you would get hit if you didn't go to the parties, if you didn't do exactly what he said?
That's a catch-22, all right, because the defense is he was a mean, abusive person. That does not necessarily equate, as they're saying, to coercion, and does not necessarily equate to the prosecution of sex trafficking. So they've got to somehow show that the abuse that he was threatening her with equates to the sex trafficking that they've accused him and indicted him for. Now they can prove that circumstantially, and that's where they're headed with this. How do we convince the jury circumstantially that what he did to her is sex trafficking?
Some people watching this might be wondering, why does the prosecution have to go into such great detail over these parties? But that is key to proving the case. Like, who was there? Did they cross state lines? Who paid them? Right. Is all important.
So bringing violations of the Mann Act is what it's called. And people are wondering why it's called the Mann Act. That was the senator who introduced the legislation. Okay. So violation of the Mann Act is bringing people across state lines for the purpose of engaging in sex. All right. And so when you have these prostitutes who came across state lines and you paid them to have sex, that is a violation of the Mann Act. That's one element of this case. So then the prostitutes testify that I came from Georgia or wherever, and Diddy paid me to have sex. That's one element of the case. Now, why do we need these videos? Why do we need all this graphic stuff to be in evidence? The government wants this to help circumstantially show that his girlfriend was not engaging in this willingly, these gross, difficult things that no rational human being would want to engage in. That's the purpose for the videos. Diddy, on the other hand, may want these videos in to show that she was willingly engaging in this. All right, this may be a difficult lifestyle for most of us. That no one really would want to do this, but there are people out there who do these things.
Yeah, and I would think that her being 8 months pregnant, the jury is going to look at that and say, like, this is a mother,
right?
You know, and I'm listening to, I can't connect these acts with this pregnant mother.
Being 8 months pregnant and having 2 other kids, that's a very helpful thing for the government right now. And it's very hard for the defense to cross-examine her about these videos. And you willingly did this when she's 8 months pregnant. It's very difficult for the defense right now.
But if she said she did not want to participate and that this was the only way she could get time with Sean Combs, she says, is to be a participant, and she said she felt humiliated. She did not want to do this. She had to take drugs. That was the only way for her to disassociate from what was happening. Is that coercion?
So it might be. It might be. Now, you got to remember that Diddy's got unlimited resources here. And so there's probably teams and teams of lawyers in the background They're getting daily copy, which means every day, every night they get the transcript, and they're picking this thing apart, making graphics. And when they cross-examine her, they're going to be popping this up on these tidbits up to cross-examine her with. And when they do that, well, this is what you said, and impeaching her with these tidbits. You said you went voluntarily because that was the night of your premiere. That's not coercion, is it? And they'll be able to pick her testimony apart. Statements she made in the past. You took this money to settle this thing. All these things they can use to attack her credibility in front of the jury. So we'll wait and see what the cross looks like and what her credibility looks like at the end of the cross-examination as to whether or not the government has actually been able to show that she did this, that she was coerced, or whether she did it willingly.
And there may still be some surprise testimony throughout this trial, right? I mean, it's expected to last 8 weeks.
Right.
So are you expecting like more, bombshell testimony? Maybe there'll be a star witness that we don't even know about yet.
Well, I imagine that everyone who's in those videos, some mega Hollywood stars, have all been interviewed not only by the government, by the defense. Why were you there? What did you see? And was this coerced, or were they doing this voluntarily? And if you've got some people that are saying, I was there, nobody was doing this, nobody was tied down, nobody was coerced, she did this voluntarily, those people are going to be forced with a subpoena to come in and testify whether they want to or not. A subpoena, as a famous movie said, is a very powerful thing.
Right. But the key, too, for the jury is going to be like, what was going on in her head, though? Like, she may have looked like a willing participant, but was she, right?
But the more people that say it, the more times you hear it, the less likely it is that the jury is going to believe that it wasn't coerced. And that's going to be a problem for the government.
Okay. Chris Tritico, our senior legal analyst here at Fox 26 Houston. Thanks so much.
You bet.